Camera number 425 is the Pentax Espio 160, or should I more correctly say a pair of Espio 160s. Recently acquired these at a car boot, and at £6 for both of them. I couldn't resist, and in a way it's useful because it shows that they come out in two different sort of champagne and the slate grey, if I could call it that. And what really sweetened the deal was the fact that in the grey one, or the slate one, there was a roll of film, and when I put a battery in, it showed frame 6 of 24, so I couldn't resist going out and shooting the rest of the film, which does seem to have come out, but we'll see at the end of the video about that. But let's focus in on at least one of them and go through the functions of it. So the Espio 160 came out around about the mid-1990s, and it includes a very useful 38mm to 160mm zoom lens. All the functions require a battery, as is the norm, so let's just put a battery in. The battery compartment is in the base, and fortunately on the strap there is this little pointy thing that allows us to undo the door, and then it reveals that there's a CR123 battery that's required to power this camera. I've done a couple of these cameras. I had to check that I hadn't done this one before. I've done sort of I think it was a 200, a 140 and a 120, so obviously refined these over the course of time. So with the battery in, we can turn the camera on, and we do that with this sort of main command dial, if you like, and switch that on to automatic, and that pops out the flash. I thought that was quite a neat little trick there. That let's just turn it off and then turn it back on, and that uncovers the lens as well. So running through the features, let's start on the back here. We have a diopter, which is very useful, always nice to have that. And then we have a lever that allows us to choose sort of standard or panorama mode. And it does that, if we open the back door, by making a blind, there we go, you can see that, for the camera, the film rather. There we go. We put our film in, there's DX coding. Unfortunately with a cartridge that hasn't any DX coding on it, it reverts to, I think it's ISO 25, which is not very helpful really. Much better to have had 100, but there you go. That's something to bear in mind. But we pop the cassette in, just make sure we have a mark there, a little red mark that we put our film up to, and then the film will be advanced to frame 1. If for some reason you get a flashing E on the liquid crystal display, that's telling you that the film hasn't been correctly positioned in the camera, so you need to open up the back again and then just make sure that the film goes beyond that. Oops. A little bit of plastic there, I'm not sure where that's come from. Okay, so in the meantime, so we've done that, done the film. We have our rocker button that zooms the lens out. So this is a 38mm profile. We zoom it out all the way to 160. It's quite a large, and obviously it's not balanced there, so you have to hold it. I found that quite easy really. I could hold the barrel of the lens and support it, because it is so light, this camera, plastic being its predominant material. There we go. And of course you can zoom it out at any stage. Quite noisy zoom, as you can hear. Okay, our shutter button is on the top right here, and we have a confirmation light in the viewfinder. If we get a green one, that shows that focus and exposure has been found. And then an orange one is with the flash. So we have a couple of provisions here. You notice the top one says AF. I suppose the typical focus is when you look through the viewfinder, there's a couple of, not quite sure what you call them really. There's an area in the middle of the viewfinder that if you compose your picture, the focus point is between these 2 points in the middle. But if we want spot focusing, then we can choose that by pressing the AF button, and it does toggle through a few other options. So there's the spot autofocus. Did I say exposure? I meant focus, so correct that, so it's autofocus. The other option is, I think it's called Infinity Landscape, and it's really designed, according to the manual at least, for taking photographs of landscapes through windows. Why we would want to do that, I'm not quite sure, but there you go, there's that provision to do that, and then it does spot autofocus. Okay, yes, I think I said exposure, so I apologise for that. We're talking focus here. The other button, we have a self-timer, and then we have provision for a remote. The remote window is this one here. Took all that off, and then we have also multiple exposure. You have an option of having 2 photographs taken. The film won't be advanced after the first one, and then it will be after the second one, so you only have 2 there, and that's it. Let's come back to the other dial, which is our on and our auto exposure, or auto point and shoot mode if you like. We then move the dial, and then we have flash. That will also engage fill-in flash as well during the daylight if we like. So this next icon with the line through the flash is indeed, as you'd expect, no flash, but it also allows the camera to choose slower shutter speeds. So if that's our desire, and presumably when it chooses slower shutter speeds, it chooses higher f numbers if you like, so that would be something to consider. So that's useful. We then have nighttime mode, which as I say has fill-in flash. We have bulb mode, which doesn't have flash, and then bulb mode that does have flash. A nice little feature that I noticed on the camera is that when I zoomed the lens out fully, and I was quite close to a subject, through the viewfinder there was a superimposed opaque line coming down from the top, which I suppose really is showing you that because you've zoomed in, the framing has to change, and so this little opaque line at the top, you need to obviously compose your picture below that in the oblong in the viewfinder. So I thought that was quite neat. So while it doesn't have a macro mode specifically, it does tell you when you have a close-up subject, and if you zoomed in, it will show you the viewfinder. One thing I didn't mention is the top one here, the top button on the left, the eye, so that's red eye reduction. That's just on and off. And I think that's pretty much it as far as the functions go of the camera. Don't think I've forgotten anything else. So very pleasant experience, very nice and light. I was able to hold it with the strap, put the strap around my hand a couple of times and hold it in my hand. Wasn't a problem. So it was always ready. Let's just turn it off. There you go. So that's the Espio 160. And if you don't like the grey, as I mentioned earlier, you can get the other one. Have the option of the champagne coloured that's also available. So how do we get on with the film? Well, let's have a look. And in the meantime, this is the Pentax Espio 160, camera number 425.